15 accountants gave up, but this delivery girl revealed a life-changing truth to a millionaire. Mia zipped through the bustling streets of her suburban Ohio neighborhood, determination pumping in her veins like the rhythm of her bike wheels on the asphalt. Day in and day out, she delivered meals to families and seniors, each stop a reminder of her responsibility to Grandma Ellen. Her grandmother, a spunky World War II veteran, had raised her alone after her parents' dreams crumbled, instilling in Mia values of integrity and perseverance. "You keep pushing through, even when the whole world's against you," Grandma Ellen would say. Those words echoed in Mia's mind, fueling her as she pedaled toward her next delivery. As Mia navigated the thrumming heart of her community, she passed the local coffee shop, where a group of disgruntled accountants huddled together like storms gathering momentum. Their conversations were draped in disappointment, tales of spreadsheets and corporate betrayal. 15 of us have thrown in the towel," one lamented with a bitter laugh. They looked at her with a shrug, their eyes dismissing her as just another cog in a broken machine. But what they didn't see was the resilience spun from Mia's childhood, the strength she inherited from her grandma, who fought every battle life threw at her. Today, her route led her to a community center where she dropped off meals. There she met Jack, a former accountant turned philanthropist, a man once buzzing with ambition, now ghostly pale, clinging to his faded dreams. He was trying to reconnect with the community that seemed to have forgotten him. Daniel caught Mia's eye, and for a moment, they shared a palpable silence, their worlds colliding for a heartbeat. "Who are we if not the stories we share?" Mia found herself saying, her voice soft but steady. It was an odd thing for her to say, but in her heart, she felt the impact of Grandma Ellen's life lessons swirl around her. Jack leaned forward, listening intently, his shoulders sagging under the weight of regret. As she spoke of her grandmother's sacrifices, a flicker of something warm yet difficult crossed Jack's face. Could success mean anything if it stripped away purpose and connection? And as Mia's words hung in the air, the realization hung heavy between them, a longing for change reflected in both their eyes, but just as the air seemed charged with possibility, Jack's phone buzzed energetically, breaking the spell. A crucial meeting called him back to the corporate world he had just escaped. Mia stood, heart pounding, uncertain. Will we ever meet again? She thought, feeling as if she were losing something precious. Before we continue, I need to let you know about something important that's happening. YouTube has been making changes to the system and many people are losing notifications from channels they follow. If you're enjoying the content, hit that bell and mark all notifications so you don't miss the next videos. And if you can drop a like, it really helps me with reach. Seriously, it makes a difference. Oh, let me know in the comments where you're watching from. I'm always curious to know who's on the other side of the screen. Now let's continue. Mia stayed outside the community center, the sun setting in a fiery blaze, shadows stretching across the pavement. She gripped her handlebars, heart racing with questions. Could Jack truly change? Would they be able to cross the divide between struggle and disillusionment? As the evening air settled, the tension lingered thick, a promise of hope intertwined with uncertainty. What awaited them both in the paths they chose? Only time would tell as the clock ticked ever forward, leaving both of their fates hanging tantalizingly in the air. Mia pushed down on the pedals, her heart still racing from her encounter with Jack. The wind whipped through her hair as she raced down the street, each turn a blur of houses and trees. The sun dipped lower, casting an orange glow on everything it touched, but Mia couldn't shake the heaviness that settled in her chest. She cycled past the coffee shop again. The accountants were gone now, leaving only echoes of their frustrations behind. Mia thought of their vacant looks, of how they couldn't see the light in her, a simple delivery girl with a fierce spirit, pushing against the current of a seemingly indifferent world. What was it about her words that resonated with Jack? Her thoughts spun until she arrived at Grandma Ellen's South favorite park, the place where they used to share stories and dreams. She parked her bike and took a seat on a familiar bench, letting the rustling leaves of autumn comfort her. Thoughts of her grandmother filled her mind. Ellen had told her stories of resilience and courage, of fighting against the odds and never backing down. Every setback is just a setup for a comeback, she would say, firing determination into her veins. Mia closed her eyes, envisioning Jack's face, the flicker of hope she had seen there. What if he could be part of something bigger? A community he once belonged to but had lost touch with. It had to start somewhere, and it could start with her. She felt the first spark of an idea, igniting within her the way a campfire flickers in the dark. The next day, she resolved to create a community event, a gathering filled with stories, connections, and hope. If Jack wanted to reconnect, then she would bring people together. This wasn't just about delivering meals anymore, it was about creating a ripple effect of change. Mia put together flyers, colorful and bright, urging the community to share their stories, to join in and breathe life back into the town. She posted them around the community center, coffee shops, and even on the bulletin boards at the local library. She could feel a buzz, growing curiosity, excitement. She was stirring something deep within her neighbors. As she made her rounds, some of the same accountants she'd seen before began to peek curiously at her bold flyers. "What's this about?" one asked, raising an eyebrow. Mia's heart soared as she explained her vision. "We all have stories to tell. We just need to come together to share them," she insisted, passion fueling her words. Days flew by and Mia poured every ounce of her energy into this project. She managed to enlist school kids to help with decorations and local musicians to volunteer their time. Slowly but surely, and against all odds, people began showing interest. Jack was among them, stepping forward one evening as she was coordinating the final details. "I want to help," he said, a softness in his voice that Mia hadn't heard before. It ignited something deep within her to see him standing there, ready to embrace a new chapter. As the event day approached, the promise of connection loomed larger than life. Yet, Mia couldn't shake a nagging fear. Would people come? Would they share their stories? The sun rose on the day of the gathering, casting a golden hue over the park. Mia stood at the entrance, her heart pounding with anticipation. Would this be the spark that changed everything for Jack, for the accountants, and for herself? As she took a deep breath, the telltale sounds of chatter and laughter began to fill the air. But just as she stepped forward, a familiar face appeared in the crowd, one she never expected to see again, and it brought an electrifying jolt to her spine. What did this mean for Mia? What was about to unfold before her? Mia's heart raced as she locked eyes with the stranger pushing through the crowd. It was Ryan, her childhood friend. The surprise was a punch to her gut. He had moved away years ago, chasing ambitions that led him far from their little town. They hadn't spoken since high school. Now, here he was, dressed in crisp attire that screamed success, and yet, his eyes held a flicker of nostalgia that tugged at Mia's heart. "Ryan?" she breathed, unsure if her voice would reach him above the growing hum of the gathering. "Mia." He beamed but quickly turned serious. "I heard about this event. I had to see it." Her mind raced. Memories flashed through her, a time when they would share dreams under towering oak trees, imagining conquering the world together. She was naive back then, but curiosity gripped her as she wondered what brought him back now, and why at this specific moment. "Are you okay?" she stammered. Ryan seemed out of place, yet his presence felt oddly comforting amidst the chaos. "How's life treating you?" "It's complicated," he replied, a shadow crossing his face. "I'm back to handle some family business. Lost my dad a few months ago." The heaviness in his words weighed down on her, threading a connection between them that she hadn't anticipated. Mia felt a pang of sympathy. "I'm so sorry, Ryan." She couldn't imagine the pain he was carrying. "Are you managing?" "Trying to," he said, glancing around, seemingly searching for something. "But enough about me. What's all this?" His gaze fell on the attendees mingling, laughter erupting, and stories being shared. "It's beautiful, Mia." Her heart lifted a little. "I wanted to bring everyone together. We all have stories, you know. We just need to share them. I thought, they might help us connect." Ryan nodded, his expression softening. "You always did have a gift for bringing people together." remember our summer projects? His eyes gleamed with old memories, and Mia smiled, the ache in her chest easing. This was the Ryan she knew, the one who believed in connections, where every story belonged and mattered. As they talked, she introduced him to Jack, who had started to join in, setting up some activities. The three of them shared laughter, reminiscences, and something new, a budding friendship tethered around this shared moment. Ryan seemed drawn to the spirit in the park. He found himself pitching ideas for more activities that could involve the community. But as the event reached its peak, Mia couldn't shake the feeling of a turning tide. Something about her old friend's reappearance felt significant, almost as if the universe was conspiring. Yet, deep down, doubts began to bubble. What would happen when he stepped back into the life he'd built? When Ryan turned back to her, seriousness etched across his face. "Mia, I've been meaning to ask, would you be interested in collaborating on a community project in the city? There's so much potential for the people there. You'd blow them away with your drive." The offer hung in the air, unspoken hopes threading between them. It felt huge, but also daunting. Would she really consider leaving her home, the familiarity of her town? Or was this her chance to step out, to expand a ripple into a wave? As she considered, a ripple of apprehension washed over her. Before she could finish, a loud cheer erupted from the group, people applauding the first storyteller stepping up to share their tale. Jack's eyes sparkled with anticipation, and Mia felt the warmth spreading through her like wildfire. "Think about it," Ryan urged, his enthusiasm undeniable. "This could change everything." But before she could dive deeper into the implications of his proposal, a hush fell over the crowd, and all eyes turned expectantly toward her. She could feel the weight of their curiosity, their hopes resting on her shoulders. What shape would this moment take? Would she seize it, or let it go? As she opened her mouth to speak, a flicker of doubt crossed her mind. But could this be the moment that changed everything for not just her, but for the community? "Let's start with the first story," Mia said, her voice shaking slightly. But in the back of her mind, as the warmth of connection enveloped her, the questions lingered. What was her next step? And what if Ryan's return was just the beginning of something larger? Mia's voice wavered as she began to speak, but the moment her words escaped her lips, the crowd leaned in closer. The first storyteller stepped forward, an elderly woman with silver hair and eyes brimming with life. She took a deep breath and shared a tale from her youth about love, loss, and resilience. The words flowed like a river, capturing the audience with every twist and turn. Mia watched, entranced, as the woman's story ignited laughter, tears, and even applause. The bond formed between the storyteller and her listeners felt electric. With each word, Mia could see the vulnerability of the crowd, each person connecting to the narrative in a way that felt deeply personal. Here was proof stories mattered. They healed. They brought people together. As the story wrapped up, the applause rang out, echoing through the park. Mia felt a surge of hope. This event, this gathering, it was working. Then, the new energy turned her gaze back to Ryan. His eyes sparkled with admiration, not just for the woman sharing her life but for Mia as well. Their gazes met, and the weight of what was unspoken settled between them. "Your turn," he said softly, boosting her confidence. Taking a deep breath, Mia stepped forward. She shared her own story, the journey that led her to this place, how she decided to bring people together through storytelling. Her heart raced, but as she spoke, she found herself lost in the heartfelt connection between her narrative and its audience. The crowd hung on to her words, laughter and understanding mingling in the air around her, and in that moment, Mia felt seen, truly seen, for the first time in years. When she finished, the crowd erupted into applause, a wave of appreciation washing over her. Ryan's smile was infectious, and it filled her with a warmth that overshadowed her doubts. "See? You belong here," he whispered, pride shining in his eyes. Just as Mia's anxiety dimmed, she felt a sudden silence, an anticipatory hum from the crowd. Jack stood by her side, a perplexed look on his face. He'd been arranging the next storyteller, but it seemed something was amiss. Folks, Jack said, his voice shaky. We might have a bit of a problem. One of our main speakers, Dave, just disappeared. A murmur of concern rippled through the crowd. Mia felt her stomach drop. Anxiety clawed at her as she glanced at Ryan. His expression matched hers, uncertainty tangled with determination. Maybe I can help, Mia suggested, the urge stirring within her as she glanced at the crowd. I can lead a discussion or get everyone sharing their stories since we're all here. Are you sure? Ryan asked, a blend of admiration and concern flickering across his features. Before she could respond, another figure charged toward them, a young man. His face was flushed, and he looked frantic. Sasha's stuck in traffic, and she's not gonna make it, he exclaimed, panic evident in his voice. She was supposed to tell her story about breaking away from family expectations. Mia felt a fire ignite within her. Here was a moment where she could truly make a difference. She could step up when it mattered most, a chance to grow, not just for herself, but for everyone in attendance. I'll do it, she said with newfound confidence, surprising even herself. I'll share what I can, even if it's about my own journey of navigating expectations. And I can ask others to join and bring their experiences to the front. Ryan's eyes widened, but they glimmered with an encouraging light. The crowd began to buzz again, and Mia could see intrigue sparking in their expressions. With a quick breath, she stepped back to the center, heart pounding. Everyone, she called out, gathering courage with each word. Let us share together. Who's next? As hands shot up and stories flowed, Mia wondered, could this spontaneous moment be the turning point she had silently wished for? What would it mean for her future and for Ryan? Amidst the laughter and stories that surged around her, a question loomed in the air just as strongly as the stories being shared. If she could lead this gathering and embrace the unexpected, what else could she accomplish? In the chaos of emotions, she started to realize this could be the opportunity to not only reshape her own life but also create a ripple effect of transformation in her community. But as she embraced each moment, a nagging thought flickered at the edge of her mind. How would this impact her budding friendship with Ryan? What if his past and her dreams intertwined in unimaginable ways? As the crowd roared with the joy of connection, Mia felt the fabric of her future unraveling before her, leading to a place she never anticipated, what lay ahead for them all. Mia could hardly believe the energy swirling around her as stories ignited in the park. The laughter, the tears, the odd shouts of recognition created a tapestry woven from the threads of shared experience. She watched as faces lit up with understanding, realizing how the power of storytelling was linking everyone together more than mere words ever could. Okay, who's next? She prompted, poking her head into the crowd, and the floodgates opened. A man standing to her left began to speak, his voice thick with emotion. His story about a father who had always pushed him to be the best resonated with so many. Mia felt her heart swell as heads nodded in agreement, the man's words echoing the struggles they all shared. After him, a woman with kind eyes stepped forward, sharing her journey of battling societal expectations while raising her kids. Mia marveled at the moments of connection, at how the raw honesty brought out clenched fists that relaxed, shoulders that dropped, and faces that transformed from worry to relief when they were heard. She was swept away by their stories, each one a spark lighting the path for another. Ryan remained close, his presence a steady anchor throughout this whirlwind. Every smile directed towards her worked in tandem with the stories, suggesting a deeper understanding brewing beneath the surface. Every time her eyes met his, she felt a flicker of warmth and support. Can I share? Asked a timid voice, cutting through the thunder of applause and conversation. Mia's heart raced as she turned to see a young girl, no older than 13, clutching a notebook tightly to her chest. Absolutely. Mia beckoned. She felt a thrill at the idea of giving space to someone so young. The girl approached the front, glancing back nervously at her friends. Mia smiled encouragingly, telling her it was okay. The girl's voice trembled slightly as she began to read. It was a piece about standing up to bullies, about finding her own strength. The crowd hovered in rapt attention, and Mia felt the atmosphere shift, sensing the power in the girl's words as they struck home with more than a few in the audience. When the girl finished, the crowd erupted into cheers, and for a moment, Mia could see her confidence bloom, her fears washed away by the overwhelming support. "See? You did it!" Mia exclaimed, full of joy for the girl. "This is amazing," Ryan whispered, leaning closer to Mia. "Look at how you've brought them all together." A thread of warmth shot through Mia, leaving her both exhilarated and anxious. It was an unexpected boldness bubbling inside her, but she couldn't shake the need to tap into that vulnerability again. Could she maintain this rhythm? Could she keep leading them into deeper connections? But just then, a darker thought brushed against her heart. What if things didn't sustain? What if the connection they were feeling today faded with the setting sun? What if people were only momentary friends in their shared experiences? A gnawing fear gripped her, one that twisted her emotions like a vice. The stories continued to pour out, but her mind drifted to Ryan and their unspoken bond. Deep down, she felt the potential for something more, a connection that burned brighter the longer they held each other's gaze. "Are you thinking about all of this?" Ryan asked suddenly, bringing her back from her thoughts. "Kind of," she admitted, glancing at him. "But it's so much bigger than I thought it would be." "I want to keep it going." "You will," he said gently, a confidence lacing his voice. "You're a natural at this." Just as a man rose from the back of the crowd, his presence commanding attention, something inside Mia stirred. He looked intense, almost desperate. "Can I tell a story?" he called, stepping closer, but this wasn't just any tale. There was something different in the way he stood, something urgent in his eyes. Mia's heart raced again, sensing that whatever he was about to say would shift the energy yet again. What could he possibly reveal that would change everything they had built in this moment? She took a deep breath, feeling every heartbeat as the crowd hushed around them. "Of course," she replied, stepping forward. "Let us hear your truth." And as the man began to speak, Mia felt a change wash over the crowd. Was this the pivotal moment she feared, or the breakthrough she had been hoping for? What would come next? The man cleared his throat, and a hush fell over the gathering. His eyes scanned the crowd before locking onto Mia, as though she were a lighthouse guiding him through a storm. "My name is Ethan," he began, his voice low but steady, "and I know what it's like to feel lost." The words hung in the air, heavy and real. He took a deep breath, pausing as if composing himself. Around him, the crowd leaned in, drawn to the gravity of his confession. "I was a successful accountant," he admitted, his voice wavering slightly. "But success felt empty. I had the degrees, the job, even the nice car. But inside, I was drowning in the expectations everyone had of me. My parents, my friends, even society itself, it all pushed me further down a path I didn't want to walk." Mia's heart ached for him. She could see the fight within him, a battle each word won over the pain of his experiences. She recalled her own moments of doubt, her struggle with fulfilling the dreams others had laid on her shoulders. Ethan continued, his hands clenching into fists. "But one day changed everything. I was delivering some paperwork, and I got caught in a downpour. I took shelter under an overhang, and a delivery girl just like I used to be handed me her umbrella. She didn't have much, but she insisted I take it." His smile was bittersweet, filled with longing. "That small act of kindness cracked something open in me. It hit me, the joy in giving, in connection, in being human. I suddenly felt alive again." The crowd had gone silent, completely enthralled by his story. Mia could see glimmers of curiosity reflected in their eyes. The connection was building, threading through them like shared electricity. "I realized I had to give up the safe life, a life nobody was asking me to live. I became a volunteer at homeless shelters, delivering meals, sharing stories." He paused, gazing into the distance as if he could still see that rainy day. "It was there I found my true calling. I learned what it meant to connect, to heal, and most importantly what it meant to feel worth in my own skin." Mia felt tears prick at her eyes. The honesty of his journey was beautiful yet heartbreaking. It was the raw truth that she had been searching for. But then, the anxiety crept back in. What would happen if everyone didn't embrace these revelations? But she shook it off. No, this was a moment. She could almost feel the warmth of their shared humanity wrapping them together. Ethan's courage was igniting something inside the crowd. She looked towards Ryan, and he was watching her closely, a knowing smile playing on his lips that told her he felt it too. Ethan's voice dropped lower, imbued with urgency now. What I learned is that nobody is truly alone in their struggles. We're all scared, confused, walking our own tightrope between expectations and desires. And maybe, just maybe, we can find our truths together. The crowd erupted into murmurs, some nodding, some wiping away tears. Mia sensed a wave building, a wave of collective understanding. She saw Ethan's grip loosen as he let go of his fears, and the catharsis was palpable. So one woman finally called out, her voice trembling with emotion, "What led you to truly change your life, Ethan? What was the real push?" The question crackled in the air, heavy and hopeful. Something in Mia crackled too as she realized this conversation wasn't just about him anymore. It was a beacon for the entire crowd, unearthing their own buried desires. Ethan looked around, considering his answer, and Mia's heart raced in anticipation. Would the truth he had glimpsed be the final push for them all? As Ethan opened his mouth to speak, Mia felt a shift within herself, a pull toward deeper understanding, an urge to contribute more to the communal tapestry they had begun weaving. She wanted to speak too. But would that moment come? What if revealing her own truth changed the course of this gathering forever? Ethan's breath caught in his throat as he took in the eager faces surrounding him. The real push, he began, his voice rising above the soft murmurs, wasn't just the kindness of one person. It was the realization that every act of compassion ripples outward. Every small moment counts. As he spoke, Mia felt her heart pound, an electric charge surging through her. She knew there was more to her story, something deep inside her that had yet to emerge. She could feel the waiting anticipation of the crowd, the weight of collective hope pressing in around them. How did she fit into this tapestry they all wove together? One day, Ethan continued, I met a man named Carlos. He was sleeping on a park bench. I remember seeing him, a shell of a person lost in his own world. I sat down next to him, and we talked. For hours, we shared our fears, our dreams, our regrets. That day, both our lives changed. His eyes sparkled with the memory. It was not just me helping him, he helped me illuminate my own darkness. A woman in the front row whispered, "That's beautiful." She wiped a tear from her eye, and it felt like the collective heart of the gathering was beating in sync, but Mia's insides twisted. She wanted to be brave like Ethan, to stand up and share her own moments that could weave into this growing story of hope and transformation. But what did she have to say? Who would care about the struggles of a delivery girl when a successful accountant was inspiring them? The insecurities bubbled up like a boiling pot. Ethan's next words pulled her back. It's not about being extraordinary, it's about being real. His gaze scanned the crowd as if he could see each person's unspoken struggles. And that, my friends, is where you find the strength to change your life. The first step is the hardest. It means being vulnerable. Mia felt the walls around her heart starting to crack. Could it really be that simple? To just be herself? The thought both terrified and exhilarated her. She glanced at Ryan, his eyes encouraging, urging her to share her truth. Ethan's voice lowered. I want you all to think of someone you've connected with. A moment where you felt a spark of understanding. Hold on to that thought. Because today, I believe we can create more connections. He gestured to the crowd, and it felt like he was inviting them to open up, to spill their stories. The gentle push stirred something fragile in Mia. She could feel the crowd shifting, anticipation buzzing in the air. Perhaps, she whispered to herself almost shyly. Perhaps it's time. Will anyone else share their moments? Ethan asked, a light breaking through him. We're all part of this journey together. Who wants to take the leap? Mia's heart raced, her palms sweaty, but the thought of staying silent clawed at her. She could stand here watching, or she could raise her voice and find solace in the strength of vulnerability. What if sharing her own truth could light a fire in someone else? She took a deep breath, the words almost spilling from her lips. I have something to say. The collective hush returned, and all eyes locked onto her. Would her moment of bravery be what they needed? Or would it leave her alone in the dark, bearing her soul to a sea of strangers? As she stepped forward, the crowd leaned in, waiting for more. What truth waited to escape? And would it resonate enough to change the course of this gathering forever? A hush fell over the crowd as Mia's heart raced in her chest. She felt exposed, yet strangely empowered. I am just a delivery girl, she started, her voice trembling. She glanced at Ryan, who nodded, his encouragement serving as a warm blanket over her anxiety. But I have seen the world in a way that no one. A nervous pang caught her off guard. She took a deep breath and pressed on, pulling from the depths of her experiences. Every day, I meet people at their most vulnerable. They're tired, stressed, and sometimes just overwhelmed by life. I see them in the fleeting moments, people who need a kind word or a friendly smile. A murmuring rose from the crowd. Their expressions shifted, drawn in by Mia's authenticity, her words wrapping around them like a comforter on a cold night. There was this one time, she continued, her voice gaining strength, I delivered to an elderly man named Mr. Jenkins. He lived alone, and it was clear things were tough for him. The food I brought was important, sure, but what he really wanted was someone to talk to. We ended up sitting in his living room for nearly an hour, sharing stories about his younger days. Laughter erupted in the front row, mingled with tears. Mia saw a glimmer in their eyes, a connection sparked by her simple truth. I realized then, she pressed forward, that it wasn't just me doing my job. I was a lifeline at that moment. And in the end, I think we both helped each other, even if for just an hour. The crowd sat spellbound, hanging on her every word. The quiet dignity of her confession struck a resonant chord. Ethan stepped closer, a soft smile illuminating his face. Mia, that's incredible. You've just illustrated what it means to connect with someone. It's those moments that fill hearts and change lives. Mia could feel the energy shift. She was no longer just a delivery girl, she felt like a messenger, sharing a crucial piece of humanity. The energy in the room pulsed, and she felt their hope, their struggles, flowing back to her. And I realized I'm not alone in this work. Everyday people, we all have our own versions of making these connections. It doesn't take grand gestures, it just takes listening, being there. She inhaled deeply, her pulse racing as realization dawned. So if you're struggling, remember that your story matters. It might seem small, but it can light a fire in someone else's heart. Each one of us is a thread in this tapestry. The clapping erupted, a wave of appreciation cascading through the audience. Mia stepped back, her body shaking with disbelief and exhilaration. It was over, yet she felt alive, filled with purpose. Ryan caught her eye, a proud smile etched on his face. You did it, Mia. You spoke your truth. Tears stung her eyes, not of sadness, but of the overwhelming connection she felt. It felt like a rebirth, shedding layers of doubt, fear, and insecurity. Now, Ethan said, gripping his microphone tighter, his voice booming, who else wants to share? Who else wants to step into the light with their story? Mia glanced around, the atmosphere electric and charged with potential. Did others feel the same stirrings of bravery? Another moment of connection was brewing out there, one that could reshape someone else's life. As hands slowly began to rise, Mia felt a swell of hope. But a tiny thought crept into her mind. What if sharing her truth had opened the floodgates for others, but also exposed something buried deep within her? What truth lurked in the shadows, waiting for the right moment to emerge? Would her new circle of friends be ready to catch her when she finally let it all out? Mia's heart continued to race, a mixture of exhilaration and dread washing over her as she scanned the sea of faces around her. She observed the rising hands, each one signaling a longing to be heard, yet in the back of her mind, her own story loomed large and intimidating. Ethan, buoyed by the momentum, called on a woman in the front row. "Let us hear from you," he encouraged, his voice inviting. As the woman rose, Mia's attention shifted to her. She had framed features and expressive eyes that danced with determination. It was clear she had a story just waiting to be told. The woman took a breath and stepped into the spotlight. "I used to think I had everything, the job, the house. But it all came crashing down when I was laid off. I felt lost, just like." Her voice cracked as she shared her struggles with vulnerability, and Mia felt the weight of her pain. "I had to redefine my life in a way that I never imagined." Mia nodded, feeling her own perspective shift once again. Each story that emerged felt like a droplet in a vast ocean, each one contributing to the wave of shared humanity filling the room. She was in a space where sadness and triumph intertwined, forming a tapestry of life. When the woman finished, applause thundered, and Mia felt the kinship swell. She could see others inspired, collecting their courage to step forward. But the hidden truth within her was still there, pulsating, urging to be released but shrouded in uncertainty. "Who's next?" Ethan's voice rang out again, excitement bouncing off the walls. Mia cast a glance at Ryan, who now stood among the crowd, his eyes brimming with encouragement. His gaze said it all: "You can do this." With every second, she felt the pressure of her own story growing louder. The moment was opportune for her but also filled with fear. What if the truth she carried was too heavy? What if revealing it damaged the connections she was now building? A young man stood up, his hands trembling as if they held the weight of the world. "I lost my brother last year. It was one of those, nothing matters until it does moments. I never saw how fragile life could be." His voice broke, and she could almost hear the raw ache in his heart. He had plans for the future. He wanted to travel. Now, he's gone, and I carry that burden. Mia felt tears brim in her own eyes. Life was so precious and precarious. She could feel her own truth straining to break free, her heart caught in a tug-of-war with her mind. Maybe it was time she shed the final layers of doubt. With each story shared, the atmosphere thickened with the longing for connection, healing, and trust. Each person who stood had offered a fragment of their soul, and Mia wondered if perhaps she could do the same. Her hand twitched, almost lifting into the air. It was an unconscious movement, fueled by hope and fear. She inhaled sharply. But the voice inside her still hesitated, whispering doubts about whether her own burden was one others could bear. "Are you ready, Mia?" Ryan whispered as he moved closer, sensing her internal battle. "I don't know," she replied, her voice barely above a whisper, the fear swelling in her chest, but Ethan's eyes were on her, alive with possibility. "Remember, it's not just about sharing, it's about healing, and you might help others heal too." Mia's heart raced, not just from trepidation, but from a faint beam of courage seeping into her soul. She felt a connection with everyone around her, like a family bound by shared struggle. What if her truth could build a bridge to understanding rather than a wall of fear and isolation? The moment was ripe. Would she choose to face the shadows, to step into the light? She clenched her fists, adrenaline surging through her, a fire slowly igniting within. But just as she felt ready to let go, a scream erupted from the back of the crowd. A young woman had collapsed, her body crumpling to the floor, sending everyone into a frenzy. Mia's heart stopped. Would the connection she so dearly wanted to share slip away in the chaos? Would the truth she sought to reveal go unheard amidst the crisis? People rushed towards the young woman, panic swirling around the park like leaves in a storm. Mia felt a knot tighten in her stomach as whispers of concern spread through the crowd. Ryan's hand squeezed her shoulder, a gesture of solidarity, grounding her in the whirlwind of emotions. "Someone call for help!" Ethan shouted. His voice, composed through the chaos, struck a chord deep within Mia. "Everyone, give her space. He helped create a wider circle around the fallen woman, instilling order in the rising tide of anxiety. Mia felt a pull, an urge to help somehow, to harness the energy of the moment and reshape in that chaotic instant. She realized she could still speak, even as tension crackled in the air. Taking a deep breath, she exhaled slowly, centering herself. "Let us clear the area and make room. Everyone, step back." The firmness in her voice commanded attention as she carefully stepped forward, mingling with the crowd. The emergency services were on their way, but even small acts mattered. Then, the girls stirred, groaning slightly. A collective sigh of relief swept across the crowd. Hope flickered amidst the fear, and Mia stepped closer, kneeling beside her. "You're okay. Help is coming. Just breathe," she whispered, her voice warm and steady. All at once, the weight of vulnerability enveloped the crowd, reminding everyone of their shared humanity, binding them tighter than before. As the young woman regained composure, she blinked and looked around, confusion flooding her gaze. Mia maintained a soft smile, encouraging her with a nod. "You're safe. Take your time. We're all here for you." The girl began to sit up, the mere act igniting an outburst of applause from the crowd, their fears transforming into a unifying cheer. Mia felt a surge of pride as she witnessed the potency of each person's story, how even in vulnerability, their collective spirit could uplift. Just then, Ethan took a step back, motioning to the people around. "See. This is community. We come together in moments of crisis, and we thrive through connection." His passionate words rippled through the crowd, reigniting the energy that had been momentarily overshadowed. Then Mia felt that her own truth was inseparable from the truth shared by so many others. The connection she yearned to voice now felt like a beacon illuminated by the growth she witnessed tonight. With a newfound clarity, she stood up, facing the audience. This was the moment, it was her time. I have something to say," she began, her voice steady despite the tremors of emotion that coursed through her. This wasn't just about her anymore. It was the shared experience of stepping into the unknown together. "I've struggled with expectations placed on me, just like many of you. On the surface, I'm a delivery girl, but just below that, I'm a vessel of connections, stories shared, and healing." The crowd leaned in once more, captivated, their expressions shifting from concern to understanding. "I've met people, seen their fears, their joy, their pain. After all, every single one of us carries pieces of our lives that matter." As her words spilled out, Mia felt something vital shift, of freedom in being authentic. "When I deliver meals, I'm not just bringing food, I'm connecting, bridging the gap of isolation that so many experience, especially now. Like you all, I've had moments that felt terrifying, that made me feel lost. But I've learned that even small acts, like sharing our truths, can set off powerful ripples." Applause erupted again, a rhythm that felt both familiar and uplifting. Mia could see Ryan, a proud smile stretching across his face as he cheered her on, promising her that she was doing wondrous things. "And I believe tonight is the beginning of more connections and a brighter future together." The crowd erupted, voices rising, an anthem of unity resonating in the air. Faces shone beneath the fading sun, illuminated by resilience and shared vision. They were no longer just individuals struggling alone, they were a vibrant tapestry, threads woven together by their humanity. As the last echoes of cheers resounded, Mia felt a warmth unfurl in her heart. Perhaps this was just the beginning. Moments later, the young woman, now steady, stood up amid the throng of kindness and encouragement. "Will you share your story, too?" Mia asked gently, with renewed confidence. The young woman nodded, her voice soft but clear. "I would love to." Mia knew this was it. The transformative strength of connection was rolling through like a wave, ready to embrace more souls. The sense of community enveloped her like a warm hug, and in that very moment, she understood they were on this journey together, their stories mattered, and from each word shared, hope would ripple outward, creating a surge of change. And so, as the sun kissed the horizon goodbye, Mia felt the thrill of a new chapter unfurling before her, with every story shared, every heart touched, and every connection strengthened. This was not just about resilience, it was about community, love, and the bravery to embrace one another. Now more than ever, was the time to rise together. If we can do it here, we can do it anywhere. So seize the moment and connect. You need to subscribe now to not miss more uplifting stories like this. Leave a like now to feed the algorithm and spread this positivity far and wide. Comment below your thoughts and feelings about Mia's empowerment journey. And don't wait not even one more second, share this video with at least 5 friends who need to feel this inspiration. Let us lift each other up.